We did, chat. We definitely failed this mission. It's not even an X mission. Yeah, that's your fault. Liam! Come on, buddy. I hosted you with 100 viewers. 100 viewers. You had 500 total views?
Thirsty.
Boom, baby. You blew up.
You?
Canada's never seen anything like you. Let's go. I already know. I know you're sick. I know. Let's go. Does a tomato, which is implemented with fish skin, so it's stronger membrane, sound good? Royal, what the fuck? Maybe. Depends. Who's holding the tomato, Crude? Or sorry, Royal. Who's holding the tomato? No more risks, chat. What's up? What if we're gonna have mutants in the cages? We could now. We couldn't back then. What if there's a giant in here? Chamber 7 and 8. Notes. Derived from the prosperous, the suited individuals are the most affluent and intellectual members of society. Their minds are able to withstand the overwhelming nature of the tempest, and thus can process basic orders. They're also susceptible to a trigger for remote control and termination. Oh, that guy died. He died somehow. Chat. The underground is freaky. Oh no. Chambers 9, 10, 11, and 12. Notes. The ultimate in control. This is the basis for our true goal for the Tempest. The Solomon 4 are synthesized from the prosperous and subject AB with different ratios. Solomon 1 remains in the lab while Solomon 4 has shown the most promise. Status. Solomon 1 inactive, deceased, unknown, inactive. Macaulay, what is this? Johnny! Is that you, Johnny? It's Ava, your sister. Are you okay? Wait. Ava turns to Macaulay. That's my brother, but he's different. He looks too old, has a different physique, and his face isn't quite the same. It's like he's been merged with someone else. What's going on? Not only that, Macaulay, but he looks a bit like you. What the hell is going on? Why are you cleaning out your closet right now? What the hell? It's Tuesday. We should shoot him. What? No, that's my brother. We can't shoot him. That's not your brother. How do you know for sure? Because I'm your brother. He isn't moving. He isn't alive. He isn't me. None of this is making any sense. We should follow the tunnel further. Okay, but please don't shoot this person. Let's follow the sounds a little further. Maybe we'll find some answers. So chat, I think I can kill this guy right now. And apparently, based on what Carr said, we could have saved that general with the Titan mission that I thought about saving it. Ah, what is that noise? It's coming from that tower. We need to destroy it. It has blood coming out of her ears and nose. She's crying tears of blood. Jesus. Got an advanced farm over there. Danny's. Was Corona on Cellbeard? It was $1. It was $1 off. It was $1 off. Ava speaks to Macaulay. Oh, thank goodness. I feel better. Lighter. My mind is clear again. What the hell was that thing? We should keep going to find answers. Let's go this way. This is just a plot mission, I think. Some music starts playing. If it's too loud, then pause, turn down your speaker headphone volume, or you have the power to make it stop. Keep the music playing. You may continue. Thank you. My child, I have been waiting for you to return. My child, what have you done to Johnny? I'm not talking to you, Ranger. The only one. Wait, the one you called John served a great purpose. He would not be stood here today without him. Okay, I'm not a good reader. He would not be stood here today without him. We could not be standing here today without him. Who is he? Who are you? Are you the witch in the woods? That's not what the local folks have come to call me. My preferred name is Sycorax. Call me Kitty Cat. Kitty Cat. I'm not drunk. Calm down, sit down, enjoy the show. Macaulay, what is this tempest and how did you create it? Ava, I'm short on time. Can you get to the point? You guys want the long one or the short one? The long one. You want me to read the long one? All right. Oh, the Tempest is my life work, set upon the world to bring order. Quite simply, the Tempest was to be a way of controlling people. Social discontent was on the rise, and group formed from the top 1% of the top 1%, known as the prosperous, was struggling to maintain control of the world through traditional politics and power, be it wealth or influence. They needed to find a better way, a more guaranteed way to control the population of the world. Void 19 enters the room. They wanted the people to think they were acting upon their own free will, when in fact their actions were defined by the prosperous. When the prosperous approached me in the early 21st century, I was 25 years old. Misunderstood and ignored by society. I had a brilliant mind, a young son called Caliban, and the prosperous saw our potential. That guy sounds like a terrorist. I spent the next 15 years developing my ideas and concepts and put them into reality. Eventually, in 2016, my work was complete. I used a plant known as Devil's Breath as the basis for the project Tempest to control a mind. I developed a neurotoxin bonded with tree pollen, and this became known as the Tempest. Over the next 2 years, it was unknowingly spread all around the world. Hey, Vero. I'm laying down. Short. Liam says short. Liam's like, shut the fuck up, Beard. Let's see how this goes. Hey, Vero. Vero. Liam, make sure you click on Verowalk's name and follow her. She is a Canadian-born tab streamer. She's phenomenal at the game. Super helpful. And she has the very best milk bags on Twitch. Can anybody show me some milk bags right now, chat? Does anybody have milk bags? So the infected are under your control? Milk bags. Not one of you is gonna... Thank you, Alicia. Not exactly. The tests up to this point were largely successful. One problem was the weak-minded were completely brainwashed by the Tempest, but this was viewed as an unintended success. Why try and control the free will of someone when you can wipe their mind clean and rewrite them to not have free will? The idea in principle was wonderful, but over the 15 years I became more and more engulfed by my work and my son. Now, himself in his 20s, was being ignored, just as I had been before I began to work for the Tempest. This reminds me a little bit of the plot of Gemini Man. It's got Will Smith in it. They clone him. They're attacking people. He fights himself. There's a young version of him in it. Overall, I gave the movie like maybe a 3 out of 10. My son, Caliban, had developed in his own way, and I failed to notice this. Parents are the greatest influence on a child's upbringing, and I was hardly there for him. But in my absence, his mind developed far beyond what I could ever comprehend. A decade into the project, and I still had a number of stumbling blocks to overcome before completing The Tempest. I would be muttering a problem out loud, and he would offer a solution to the problem. And it wasn't long before he was fully helping out on the project. But what Caliban didn't say to me was that he saw what the Prosperous were doing, using me as a means to an end. My value to them was my work. He had no evidence, but his mind had hypothesized this theory and injected it into his reality. And so Caliban was prepared. The Tempest had been speared around the world, and the majority of people had unwittingly inhaled the tree pollen, and the neurotoxin had spread to the nerve tissues, ready for a trigger to activate the control. Guys, how terrible was the movie with Mark Wahlberg, The Happening? I saw that movie coming out. I saw the previews, and I was like, The Happening's probably going to be pretty good. Then it came out, and I was like, that movie was really bad. Like, The Happening was not good. M. Night Shyamalan, shame on you. Shame on you for putting Marky Mark in that role. Oh my gosh. The Prosperous, naturally being the self-appointed elite guards of society, were not weak-minded. And tests on subjects with the highest intelligence showed that they could be controlled, but only to a certain degree, such as a trained dog, loyal and able to perform on demand, but not always reliable, nor were they able to carry out advanced tasks. Honey, Hudson, lay there. Good. Now stand up, do a cartwheel, and wave to chat. All right. I was trying to prove a point. Furthermore, as we didn't want to entirely decimate society, we developed the Tempest so that the rarest blood types, namely AB negative, I'm AB positive, 2% blood type. Make sure you know your blood type, chat. And donate. Donate your blood. You don't need all of it. Donate some. Namely, AB negative would be immune to the virus that leads to the neurotoxin spreading to the nervous system. We'd all had blood transfusion, but Caliban had devised a plan to have the Prosperous be given the wrong blood type, so they all became infected with the Tempest and became the suited individuals you have come across. Nice job, Mason. Thanks, Crude. Felicia? The trigger was simple and specific. Radio wave frequency that transmitted would trigger the neurotoxin, allowing a person to be controlled through the signal. Prosperous arranged for the biggest protest and riots the world had ever seen. A large, coordinated protest. Protest that incorporated a wide range of themes from climate change to government corruption. It was all televised, of course, and people all over the world were watching it on television. Then, at peak viewing time, the activation signal was transmitted from the most powerful radio tower ever built. Is that the tower I destroyed to get to you? Bitches, I shot that bitch. Possibly Court. Wholesome Tuesday? This is Taco Tuesday, chat. Mason's having Tipsy Tuesday? Mason's not drinking. He went and got chicken at the Chicken Shack. It was one like it. Oh, Mason, have you watched The Outsider on HBO? Has anybody watched The Outsider yet, chat? It's pretty good. There's the best fried chicken in 200 miles in that show. It was one like it. This is only a satellite lab, and the tower here was a relay controller tower that is malfunctioning. It has begun misfiring and is now ineffective. But luckily, the locals here have already been under my influence. That is until you came along. You called me your child earlier. And what happened to Johnny? Holy fuck sticks. You are not my biological son like Caliban. And Johnny, like the locals here, has been invaluable in developing the next stage of the Tempest. The Prosperous were under the control of myself and Caliban whilst much of the world had been brainwashed. But the mass brainwashing had an undesirable consequence. With their mind erased, people began to revert back to their their original state of mind. Survival at all costs. This meant the infected had a natural instinct to kill those who were a threat. Anyone who hadn't been brainwashed became a target to be slaughtered. The world descended into chaos. We continued our research to develop the Tempest further and achieve our goal of total control. Caliban developed a way to splice DNA together to find the perfect complexion. We began by using the membranes of the Prosperous. The membranes. We began by using the members of the Prosperous that we had some control over. We also developed a new trigger that wasn't limited by range of a radio signal. The trigger became the world's Long Live the Tempest. When a prosperous suited individual said these words, it would trigger the infection in them. We were also able to use the infected individuals as a proxy to infect others as we whisper the words, "We are the Tempest." This was all well and good, but we wanted better control, so we needed non-infected survivors to do further tests. That's why we set up a satellite base here in the safe haven, so we could have a pool of people to experiment on. Over time, the kidnapping of colonists from the nearby camp developed them into a religious cult, which made it even easier for us. Then, John Lockhart was picked about 3 years ago, and he held the key. Ava, you and your brother have a rare trait in you that both have AB negative blood types, which is why you were both immune to the Tempest. We were able to bond the DNA of your brother and that of a Prosperous to create our own controllable prototype. So why the hell is she bleeding from her nose? It took several attempts to get the formula right. The first attempt remains in this lab. 50% DNA was from John and 50% for Prosperous. A Prosperous. But this was a failure and the individual had no consciousness at all. We created 2 more iterations with different ratios on different Prosperous individuals. They were named Mackenzie and McCracken. 2 years ago, we placed them on a field test in North Scotland so that we could see how they performed. The Tempest in them was such that they were fully conscious but completely unaware that they were doing our commands. First, we had McCracken draw the infected into the tunnels below Kirkwall to snuff out their original expansion onto the mainland. Then, when the time was right, more recently we allowed a Prosperous suited man to be captured and brought back to Kirkwall. But our control of them wasn't perfect. Occasionally, their subconsciousness blocked our commands, as you found out when they helped you escape Kirkwall. And their minds couldn't comprehend the truth about them being created in a lab. Guys, I'm not a strong reader and I hate my voice. I just want you guys to know this is very hard for me. Okay? This is very hard for me. Thanks, Liam. Thanks, Thumb. There are no trees on the island and the winds are strong. Quite simply, the people there neither came into contact with nor absorbed the neurotoxin. The remaining AB negative blood type survivors from around the world flocked there and other remote treeless islands to escape and live on. Caliban wanted the survivors eradicated so that, as mother and son, we could control the world. But my softer maternity instincts compelled me to come to a compromise. Agreement. Aren't those the same thing? With the leader of Kirkwall. They could live in peace and continue humanity, but on the condition that they could not step off the islands. Around 9 months ago, Kirkwall started building colonies on the mainland. The Tempest was still present, but something was stopping the signal that should have infected them. Just before this, alongside McCracken and Mackenzie in the north of Scotland, we'd placed our final and finest creation infused in the Tempest. His name was Macaulay. Caliban was jealous of our creation, as I saw Macaulay as my flawless child. Caliban never got enough attention growing up, and now he could see it was fully focused on Macaulay. That's me, guys. That's us. So this is why I have no memories? Yes, 9 months ago you were formulated in a lab, but since your deployment we've been able to control you. We haven't been able to control you. I didn't know why until now. Since Ava and Johnny were siblings and Macaulay is the perfect infusion of DNA from Johnny and a Prosperous, it seems together you form an extremely powerful subconsciousness that blocks the Tempest. It's also inhibited by the infection and control of those around you. Without you, Macaulay, the invasion of the mainland would have been doomed, and everyone would be infected and controlled by now. Caliban was furious and wanted to punish Kirkwall immediately. He started changing the Tempest so that it could be carried in water and also control the blood types, but this meant he had to find another way to make us both immune. He devised a way to alter our bone marrow to rapidly produce a new blood type, XY. But in the rage of jealousy and in the rush to make us immune, he made a mistake. Our bodies mutated and we ended up as these giant monstrosities. It was during this time when I and Caliban truly went our separate ways. I'm a huge bitch. I told Caliban he had gone too far. I implored him to stop and that his envisions was madness. But he wouldn't listen. He said I'd grown weak and had become useless to him. We were both powerful and mind controllers, and our conflict caused great confusion in our subjects. But his mind was stronger than mine, and he was able to subdue me. He still recognized me as his mother, and he spared my life, but he imprisoned me here so that I couldn't stop him. This caused much confusion in the Tempest, and the Prosperous suited individuals. These blunders allowed Kirkwall to expand further south, but Caliban saw this as a perfect opportunity to put our two controllable creations to the test. He had Mackenzie gather a stash of the Tempest neurotoxin from the materials test reactor to take it to Kirkwall. McCracken then distributed it in the water supply in and around Kirkwall. By the time you arrived at Kirkwall, it was too late to block the Tempest. Sensing victory, Caliban was charged for the worse in many ways. He no longer cared for this world and looked further afield. Crikey, my love for the Caliban drained and was replaced with fear of what he had become. But without the love of his mother, he lost himself in his own mind and became even worse. He lacks a cornerstone to keep him tied to reality. And now, he's no longer content. Controlling just humanity. He wants to control every atom in the universe. In his mind, he believes that by controlling enough minds, he could control not just the nervous system of a person, but the very fabric of time and space. As a child, he was obsessed with space, the stars, and the moon. And now, it seems he's reverted to this obsession. Once he took control of the Tempest project, he wanted to pull the moon to the earth to destroy the lesser beings on the planet, and then use the moon as his vessel to travel the universe. I need more cowbell. There's not enough cowbell in this campaign. As much as a mother wants to believe in and help their child follow their dream, with or without the moon coming crashing to Earth, his vision is to control everything and everyone. The Tempest is not reversible. If everyone on the planet becomes infected and falls under his command, then there will be nothing left other than Caliban. That's why I called you here. His mind grows more powerful as he controls more and more, and eventually everyone around you, Macaulay, will turn against you. They are billions, you are one. There's not big enough pauses between the words that are coming out of your mouth, Don. Sorry, Don. Oh my gosh. So what happens now? Macaulay, you were my product creation, or my proudest creation, but no longer fostered by me. I believe you are your own person, but there is something else. I have very limited control left, and Caliban controls the infected, but I sense another. I thought it was the Tempest itself, but it feels like someone else. Also, it's very hard to do a voice with headphones on. These noise canceling headphones, I can't really hear myself, you know? So
I'm thirsty.
I can promise
I want a beer. What about you?
I'm usually spot on perfect with every impression I've ever done in life. Well, if I'm struggling, that's why. But do you really decide what you want to say? Or is your free will being manipulated? I do not know myself, but maybe Caliban knows more. Our main lab was on the Isle of Wight, an island to the south of England, and that is where he went to develop his plans to control everyone and everything. But first you must destroy the control tower in London. The more minds he controls, the stronger he is. By removing his control of the millions of infected in London, you will weaken him enough to be able to land on the Isle of Wight. Otherwise, you and your friends will be overwhelmed by Caliban. The final phase will then be to kill Caliban. But Caliban is my son. No parent should see their child dead before them, so before you leave the lab to the lower left, please kill me now. Thumb power, you asshole. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Thumb. Let's kill him. I think we kill him, chat. What do you guys think? Old chat? Go ahead, Mason. You pull him. Time to die. 2 time to dies. What are you doing, sis? Fine. Bubba, you chilling? I mean, it's going to be time to die. What are you doing? Guys, can you read that dog food while you're making your choice, chat? You see what that dog food says on it? it's low protein, right? So I need a low protein, like really low fat dog food for Honey with her kidney failure. So that's like I buy the prescription dog food, but then I have this to supplement. Time to die, baby. Then kill me. Do we let her kill him 1v1 or?
Oh, here we go again.
Ah! I see your vagina. That was easy.
What?
We just killed your mom.
Our forces are in danger.
Right?
All right. To the death.
You can't call him you can't call him fat. I missed one line. Tran.
Many targets.
Tran. It'll be on the YouTube, dude. It'll be on the YouTube.
Something. Your sniper at your service.
Macaulay and Ava head out of the cave lab. It turns out the cave exits onto some cliffs on the Wales coast, so they walk out into the bright sunshine. Macaulay and Ava have learned the secrets of the Tempest from its creator, Sycorax, who revealed that her son,
Concentrate on
Caliban...
the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
Fable, thanks for the follow. If you could put up with my voice for that long, you're a trooper. Has taken over the project. He is now looking to control everyone and then everything on the planet before wanting to destroy it. Caliban has his base on the Isle of Wight, an island to the south of England. But he has control over a great many mines and will be able to control and kill anyone who arrives there. First, a controller tower to the city of London must be destroyed to weaken the control that Caliban has. Next map, phase 11, bridge over troubled water. I can tell you this much. If I did this for a living, like if I had to read this much for a living, I could not do it. I couldn't do it, chat. First of all, it's really hard to sit here and think about like these guys are just listening to me read something. Second of all, my throat hurts already. Throat hurts already. Talking for a living? No. Viola, I know you missed me. Here you go. Here I am. Behold. I actually am a human, not a dog. So we've got 2 more maps in the 28 days or 28 years later campaign. There's probably some people that don't usually hang out in here. Obviously, we got some fresh follows. Thank you for that. Following the stream, any stream, doesn't have to be mine, is a great way to show support to the streamer. So I really appreciate that. If you're in someone's small stream, even for a couple minutes, and you're enjoying what they're doing, hit the follow button. Show them a little bit of love. It's easy to turn off the notifications anyways. We're going to probably finish up this campaign tonight as long as I can get through the missions. We have been playing through a lot of the tab campaign itself as well and having fun with it. And right now we have a poll going for our next challenge run. We just